available. Great Britain getting it on the far side of the field, and we're coming out with a throwaway right away. And a little bit uncertain as to what happened there, but GB now immediately on defense. Australia trying for an upline cut. There's some sort of call. GB coming off a 14-11 win versus Colombia. And this is their second game of the day, so this is an important one. Australia only with the one game earlier today as well, so both of these teams fairly fresh. And a good grab there, had to be good given the pressure. And steps on the line, which isn't in, but there's a pick call as well at the same time, possibly. Checked and going. Bit of decision. Gonna look to the lines person there as well to find out what's going on. In the foreground of your picture is Austria versus Germany in the Spirit game after their quite exciting match that preceded this one. On field though, the action, the disc coming back. Oh, and a fantastic break there. Shows a lot of confidence to do that. However, they are high stall counts as well. And picked up in the end zone. It's number 77. Gonna just pull her up on it's Yishuan Tan. I hope I have her name correct.
2 to 11.
Australia starting out with a break to make it 1-0 against Great Britain. GB, we haven't seen much of their offense in this game, simply because it didn't really get going. I hope it does now. We'll get a shot at it. So the score, 1-0 for Australia. Lines being kept clear in this game. By lines people, ensuring a 3-meter wide berth. Taking the middle by GB. Number 31 on the sideline. And it's a drop again. And Australia very quickly off to a 2-0 lead. That's 2 breaks in a row. That's a bit of a tough start for GB. And I believe the grab there by Vivian Yun in the end zone. However, my numbers might be wrong. Anyway, switching back to some of the results that we have in the mixed division after day 1. Austria comes out to a win. We had a A2 versus A1 crossover, which my last score shows 10-10. We hope to get an update soon on what happened there between Canada and Japan in the A pool. Austria, Germany, Austria, as you saw, just won their match. The US versus Colombia, United States finishing 17-12. And last check, Venezuela was leading Chinese Taipei 9-6. Earlier today, we saw a 14-11 win for GB against Colombia. And this requires a timeout soon from GB. They've not been able to get more than 2 passes, either through drops or defense. And slightly ambitious throw there to the sideline. GB now. Let's see if they can get going. And good one-on-one coverage. Oh, and there was a poach there. And this is good wide pressure. They're pushing them out to the lines. Australia is keyed into this match. This is a style they are used to playing against. GB, short flick, and to the ground. I wish Tom Stiles was here. His lovely accent does a much better job of delivering the commentary. On Australia, with the disc once again, but this time deeper. You might have heard something on your mics there. That was Austria with their end of game cheer. And an easy throw to the end zone. And Australia floods the field. That's 3 breaks in a row. Still no timeout call. A little bit of frustration from the coaches there, but I think they're taking the timeout now. And they need to. They need to get into this game with 3-0. And it hasn't been necessarily Australia's hard defense. They had 1 turnover, but that was from an overthrow. We started with two drops, and that's caused issues. And then what we had was a third D and then a pass up the field that was really low to the ground and unfortunately didn't make it. So we're seeing GB needs to get into this game, but they've given Australia a lot of confidence here, especially after that earlier loss in the day. And Australia playing the game at a speed that's very much to their liking. And they haven't had to defend against the Hucks so far. Quite honestly, we're still waiting for GB to start up. And I think they can. They had a good game earlier today. They need to start it up here. And they can get back into this game easily. It's 3-0. Not hard at all to get into. We've seen Australia as well has made issues and errors in the past. But they've got a lot of confidence right now, and I think that's the key. Is this confidence in their step. And we're just adjusting it here to make sure that we can get a bit more of the field. We've got GB players in the stands. Oh, we'll zoom in later. But here's the pull, and it's going. Is it going out? And this might be what GB needed. It comes back all the way over here on the sideline. And now, as someone on Twitter had said, I had mistakenly said middle earlier before. In WFDF rules, you can either take it on the sideline where it went out or at the brick. So there is no middle. I should have said brick. I apologize for that. Now this is a pressure situation. And it's unfortunate that Australia pulled that disc how they did. A nice save down the middle would have worked better. Hindsight. Oh, and a cut just when it needed to continue for the reset. Oh, and another drop. Australia. Pick called. And sideline lines person there just relaying what's happened on the field. They're not observers. They're not timekeepers. They don't manage your timeouts. Australia here. Looking to huck it. Oh, he had a good shot at it as well. A very good movement from side to side. Unfortunately, just bobbles it with the wind pushing it out a little bit. GB with another chance. He's playing a 5-2, looking at the break. They get it. Or up line. Looking for a deep strike, but very well marked down the field. Everything is well marked. Oh, it's going to be, oh, it looked like it was going to be easily taken for a D, but it wasn't. Away called. Once again, those up and back cuts by the handler, well marked. Downfield, not much motion in the stack. And unders are being taken all the way through that stack as well. So no real options at this time. Big layout bid there. Once again, lots of pressure on that dump. Wide open option. And grabbed in the end zone, and GB needed that one, making it 3-1. That was a bit of a tricky point for both teams. There is, or was, a call. But nothing happening. Now GB get to put on their D-line for the first time. Now, this is going to be big. We have not seen GB's D-line so far. Did they manage to stay warm? Probably. We are looking to see what they bring. And in the stands, players starting to filter in some of their other games. All right, no more zooming for me. It's the panning that's an issue. And Australia's O-line looking very confident. A big hit in the end zone. Both players appear to be okay. Just taking a second. But Australia make it 4-1. And medical staff just getting out there, making sure, coaches getting out there, making sure both players are okay. Might be a cramp. But one of the Australian players is on the ground. In fact, I believe it's the one that grabbed it. And that, I believe, is Robert Reeves. Still down, one of the... Net. Timeout has been called by Australia. And we're going to take a quick break. and be right back. But thank you for joining us if you are. And we'll be coming back hopefully with some updated scores as well pretty soon. We're back. Just updating the score. So if you have been watching our schedules, the U23 one for multi-haps, just updating that so it has the latest score. We'll be running real time tomorrow in terms of as real time as we can make it, but updating far more often. Good movement from GB. Floater goes over the top, height advantage. Oh, there was an attempt to come back on that, but he could have run it out. And Australia get another chance now to break. I have a feeling this might end up going deep. Oh, and Floaty, unfortunately, it was high stall counts. Handler was just looking at him, impatient, nervous. When do I cut? He made a motion, thought he'd be looking. The throw didn't come. And let's be honest, I've done that. Probably last week as well. Good backhand. And bid. And he's saying there's a foul. You hit my elbow. And it's going to be no contest foul. So because it wasn't caught, it comes back to the end zone. Everyone could have moved, I believe. There was no stoppage. Just a bit of discussion as to what happened. So maybe someone can correct me on the rules here. Regardless, GB get that point. And the score now looks to be 4-2.
4 to 55. 4 to 55.
We're just going to be fixing our scoreboard very quickly because it is going all over the place.
This is exactly why I don't want to do those whistles.
Let's go, TV!
Let me whistle and say
Hey! Find someone. Hey, there's a guy here. You got toast here. Sutas, get on that. Dixon, go! Dixon, go! Dixon, go! Go, Dick! Ah! Team fire! Eddie, you want Eddie? Fire! Nice, Eddie!
GB getting a shot there, and the huck just a little bit too low, results in the disc going back, and Australia working it into the end zone. Not the cleanest of points, but it got the job done. Adjusting my microphone there. However, GB having more shots now at the disc. And I think the reason for that is GB forcing Australia to make bad hucks. And they have been floaty or too low, and so they've either been a direct turnover or have given the defense a really good shot to get at them. And good pressure to start off with, going to the middle of the field. The puller gets there, some mark on, looking to huck, and he's gonna do it. And this one's floaty as well. And a great box out. And a box out there by number 34, Tamakalise Copeland. And no one deeper than what you see in the frame right now. No picks either. Puts it up. Good, tall handler. Comes down perfectly. Looking for the options. Has a lot of dumps. That's what they need. And it's going to be flipped up easily in the end zone. And Tamakalise finishes it off. And that was a tough point for GB. Had a good shot at the disc. Unfortunately, a deep throw that didn't quite work out for them. Now looking at a game at 6-3, I believe. That was a score by Australia, not by Great Britain. So we're going to have an adjustment there. Thank you, Rose, for fixing up the scoreboard.
Yeah, for Great Britain.
I do have an assistant today, thankfully, and for the next couple of days. And a timeout called by Great Britain. They need GB here, needs to get those unders. They need to go into either a split stack, get that midfield movement. Crosswind now, and it's a strong one as well on the field. I must tell you, seats up here, probably the best. Waving to some volunteers as well. They're doing a fantastic job. And this is a good, exciting game. GB made a run back at Australia after a cold start. I think that's the best way to put it. It were unforced turnovers. And now we're looking at a 6-3 game, which kind of takes us back to where we were at the beginning, but GB had charged back. And chanting from GB. Good cheer from the crowd. And specifically naming players and describing various physical attributes about them that they enjoy. Nothing less could be expected from this immature bunch, and let's remember, us Ultimate folks tend to be fairly immature. Under pressure. Strong defensive pressure here, and we can see it. And underthrown. I think we can almost guarantee a huck play here. Oh, and it's short, but read well. And grabbed as well, and looking to float it. No mark. And rescued at the end. Not a clean finish for Australia, but 7-3 now. They lead 2 points from half. GB, unforced errors, underthrown discs, but you can only take advantage of that if you're playing close D. And Australia has been playing very close D. We're about 40 minutes into this game, perhaps a little bit less, 35. With a total of 11 points having been played in this game. We're at a fairly good pace. This game has not been by any means slow. We haven't seen zone. It's just been hard man back and forth. Maybe smatterings of zone, but nothing of consequence so far. And with this wind, you would expect there to be some zone. In fact, with no wind, sometimes you play zone. And what we're seeing here, and this pole, floating, going to just go out of bounds, but it made it further down the field. Great grab by the German player there. Now, WFDF rules, very friendly. And GB looking to hug, not getting anything. Marked point, step for step. Oh, and mix up there. It's a blind pass and a blind throw, and I'll explain that a little bit if I see it again, but really it's when a cutter passes behind the body of the person marking you, and you expect a continuation of momentum and movement, but there isn't. In fact, that's where they change direction, and so we as handlers tend to throw these blind passes. But in that situation, there was a collision between the upfield clearance coming back into the handler position, and the handler trying to go up, so they decided to bounce off of each other but return to different directions. High release, and 8-3 Australia. This is going very much along seed, And what I'm finding interesting now is how Chinese Taipei will do against GB. They had an upset. And now they're in an interesting position. In a strong position as well, especially with a win over Australia. If they get a win over GB later, it'll be important. But Australia in command of this game. Completely different character from what we saw earlier today. Which begs the question, what is GB's real character? They are a strong team. They had a few unforced errors, as I said earlier in the game. There was no pressure. Will they get their step back in the second half? We may find out soon. Australia up 8-3 now, on point for half if they get a break. Pull from Blue Bottles. It's a lower pull. And a drop. And this is what I've been chatting about.
Chill, good. Red zone.
A lot of pressure here. It could have legitimately been a pick call there. And there is one upfield. We've got Lilwall prancing around, well, not prancing, very nervous on the sideline, but now he is prancing. Lilwall working for Tuck here while he is in Canada, or volunteering. I'm not sure what his situation there is. And GB gets a D there. Confusion reigns amongst the dump and handlers on Australia. GB got another chance at it. But close defensive positioning again. Pochoff gets it back to the line. Wants to put it deep, but there's a pick. He's going to have to catch it. It was well before the throw. Wanted to put it deep, and again slips out. She's frustrated by herself. You could hear it. The ladies have had not the best game for GB here in the start with the unfair forced errors. Puts it upfield, lots of space and time. And Scoober over the top, ambitious, pulls it down, and Australia takes half in style. 9-3, this is a dream start. And Lilwall clapping because he believes he made that point happen. And in many ways he did. Australia receiving, that's a good pull. It's hard. So thank you for all those that have tweeted to us during halftime. That's a good defensive zone here from GB. That's a change they've made coming out of half, making Australia move it more, making them throw it around more as well. Wave going on in the background as well. And there's just a player hanging out deep. Now it's man, but a poachy man, as you can see in the middle. That's a very intelligent zone, if I might say. A lot of trouble for Australia. Looking to huck it deep. Not happening. Melt call now. It's just a standard man. Good air. Wide open. And there's some movement in the middle, but back into the zone. Wow, good movement, Australia. Well, that was a bit risky there. Looking to hide. There's a foot block. Fantastic. I've been waiting for one of those, and that was a good one.
that might make the Australian handlers double think or think twice about that move. I had a good chat at halftime with some of the Australian supporters here, Jack Lilwall. We got some feedback from Jackie McNaughton, who, or I apologize if I got your first name wrong, who appears to be probably the best lefty handler in Australia, played Ring of Fire last year. Oh, and this is a nice wide open shot. And GB start with a break in the second half. No hammers as recommended from home, but a great piece of defensive effort. And it all came down to that foot block that we had here on the sideline. And the score now, 9-4, I believe, 9-4. GB probably going to be doing a zone again. Now, the zone they had a lady, two ladies. It was almost like a 2-2-2-1. And in the back, it was played man. In the mids, there were two ladies that were exchanging players between them. And the result of that was very difficult movement through the mids. And really no options, so that there was a lot of side-to-side movement. There was a melt call from the sideline. It moved forward a little bit, but then it appeared the zone set again. And that stymied the offense from Australia. And it led to a look for a huck, and actually a put for a huck, which in my opinion, it was not a good option. Seeing much of the same, but we've got great speed here and a great end-to-end. And if that is Australia's answer, it is an excellent answer.
38.
And that was a good handler strike, I believe. And GB had some chasers underneath. But perhaps a bit more straight-up pressure, a bit more aggression towards the disc will cause the disc to come from a different angle. And even if it delays that strike, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to delay the throw. That's going to give more time for the defense to catch up. The throw's not as good anymore. Sorry, the option's not as good anymore. And then we go from there.
Correct. We just have to send it in first. Come on, I have to be at 45 seconds.
All right, good piece of advice from Scott. Scott, I'm going to try and get the names for some of the folks that you're watching. You are all up quite late right now. And the pole, it comes back in. Centered. Fortunately, I can't see the numbers there. Bid, but lots of options deep now. Caught in the end zone by number 7, Alex Walsh, and that is a good end-to-end offense by GB to get that point. And GB starting to move it much better. There were bids there from Australia, but they just weren't close. And GB took the pace and turned it down, or perhaps Blue Bottles have changed their pacing as well. And I think they too need to turn it up and keep the energy high. This game is a long way from being done. 10-5, easy to come back with, especially when there's 55 minutes left in the game. 60 seconds warning. 60 seconds have passed. Poll should be coming soon. It has been accepted. Lots of room. There's going to be a big run up on this poll. And Dan sends it deep. And Ashley Evans hangs on to it for a long time, but gives it back into the middle. Just moving around. And snagged just by the fingertips by Daniel Matthews Hunter. That's just towed in at the same time. I've been impressed by these Australian handling line. The three gents at the back have moved it well. They've developed that chemistry. They're moving it well against GB. It wasn't so good earlier on, but it was slightly different handler setup as well. A lot of good confidence now, and they're not afraid to do a handle strike as well. I think fifth from the left on the GB side when he's going to be going down the field will be the team's water boy. At least that's what I've been told. Big floaty pull here. It's going to take its time, and the pressure's going to be on. And they're calling offside. They'll be calling for a repull. So in WFDF rules, it simply goes back and is a repull. Of course, then the question ends up being, well, you could simply delay the game by repulling it. Well, let's understand, that's not really spirited. And a spirit timeout would occur, and there'd be a chat, and we'd go from there. Center to Alex Walsh. And sent deep by number 4, Robert Coddington. But unfortunately, the issue that we've been having is a drop further down the field. Backhand break, lots of options there. GB adjusting to be playing deep, preventing the deep coverage, and it goes out anyways. There was a brilliant move there by number 7, Tom McCacklum, and he got the grab, but he landed out of bounds, and the pressure there, I believe, was from Robert Coddington. But the disc goes back. It was a foul call. And a small groan from the crowd, but not too much. Now that definitely was Coddy, as the sideline's calling him, which would be a smaller version of his last name, Coddington. We can see a very nice vertical stack still there. He's going deep again. Wanted to go up line. He has options. Floated into the middle. Picked up by Tom. Again, oh, he floats it out. Probably not the best thought here, but we'll see. And grabbed in the end zone. That is a huge grab. And the grab there will track that player back. I believe it's number 7, so that would be Tom McCallum again, or maybe he'd put it. Risky, but it pays off. 12-5. Now the sunset might play a little bit of an issue with our camera. As you can see, casting long shadows on the field. This is time for GB to execute. This is an important crossover game for them. They need to tighten the gap. We already have had an upset in this pool, so crossovers will be important. On the bottom of your screen, you can see number 12, Ashley Evans. I believe it is number 12. I'll actually check that number again. Actually, I believe that's Robert Reeves, number 19. And he had that big grab at start of the game. You might recognize him from his large beard. And quite impressive one as well. Pull goes OB, it's going to be a brick. Apologize, that point was up by Daniel Matthew Hunter. Split stack, creating lots of movement options, looking for a break, not happening. It's going to come back in the middle with an ISO, looking for the deep. Oh, that's a good throw. And that's probably going to be a strip in the end zone. Well, at least it looked like he had possession. And it's goal called. Good spirit there. Just having a quick chat there with one of the tournament directors. Chatting about our internet. We'd love to get you out a high quality stream, and we will later this week once we get the internet issue resolved. We're on a bit of a guest access right now, and we'll be getting onto the more hardcore access where we can serve terabytes of data. But of course we don't need to. We just need to get a small stream out to our servers, which will then get to you. I hope you have been enjoying this game so far. So, for those of you wondering what the view is like from up here, it's quite nice. But you don't want to see me, you want to see a huge pull. Caught deep in the end zone, moved well. Again, out to the side. GB fans quacking, and a big D in the middle. Sorry, don't know quite what the number is, but an equally good layout bid after that. And a throw there from Jonathan Saunders. And a throw to, and who it would have been bookends with, I believe that's number 12, but might have been Benjamin Thomas Bruin. Get a better look at that number later on. Honestly, I think I need glasses and binoculars. Break into the middle. Oh, and overthrown, and it's a turn. The turn from number 50, Kelly Alexandra Martin. Nicknames are welcome. Number 23, Eddie with the disc. Looking for pressure. There's a bit of a slip. I don't know if there's a call. It looks like it might be going back. And that thrower, the catch was by Rennie. The throw was from Cameron. Wants to center it. Looking for options. Oh, doesn't float. And that is tough. As you can tell, I'm a fan of the game, not of any particular team. Excellent support from the stands for GB. Really impressive. But they have a rich sport history in Great Britain. Looking down the sideline. Options are there. And it floats out of bounds. And unfortunately, throw away from Victor Tan. And it's being left here on the sideline. You're not allowed to return a disc inside of 3 meters. And pressure, but Jonathan Saunders centers it. Ooh, and a bit of a hit. Foul called, and that's a tough one. There's a lot of pressure on the disc. And Howard Story calling the foul. The pressure from number 12, Ashley Evans, who we've seen a lot of from in this game. A wonderful mix of accents on the field right now. Me with my rather boring, plain accent. No foul called. A little bit frantic. Wide open in the end zone. And that's number 50, Kelly Alexander Martin. So Howard Story to Kelly Martin. And this game now 12-7, I believe. That might be what's on your screen. Blue Bottles definitely had a lot of chances. I think the strangest throw was the one that was on the sideline here, where it was thrown, and I think he threw it as an OI, and it ended up being an IO and floating out of bounds. Games all wound down for the day now. This is the only game that's still going on. It's the showcase game. Things will get more crowded as time progresses, and we get some of those open and women's games in here as well. This mixed game, though, quite exciting. Good movement, looking for a deep option. Australia has shown that they have the speed. A lot of handler movement here. Max Holden now with the disc. And he sends it over the top. That's a beautiful throw. Takes, and very carefully taken by number 24, Amelia Yap. And confidently, she didn't try to go for the end zone. She had the opportunity, but she set her feet, took it, and then flipped it in for number 34, Timoklis Copeland, or Timokakakapalis Copeland, as some of you might know of him. Quite honestly, against a zone like that, that's the sort of throw that beats it. And for you veteran players at home, you know that. And when you have handlers that have that capability to confidently make that throw, but more importantly, receivers willing to make that cut and then confidently catch that throw, it's going to come out more often. And this Australia team playing together a bit more. GB having a great second half. Quite honestly, coming out much better than the first one. They're probably not back at the level where they expect themselves to be and from what they expect of themselves. And we hope to see that later in this tournament. But there's still plenty of time left in this game. It's only 20-20 here in the Great White North. And a pull that's a little bit short from Tom McCallum. Or McCallum. Looking for the deep shot. He's got it. Unfortunately, just a bit too far. That throw from Stephen Dixon. We've seen him play well in this game as well. Vertical stack now. 5-2 setup. And we've got a deep strike coming. And she's got space, but... And oh my goodness. Look at that space. And timeout called. Australia, that was a risky throw. We had 3 women going deep off the back of the stack. And then brought back to the sideline. GB now in a spot that's a bit risky. The throw, not the best. I'll admit it. However, it came again from that blind spot. If the ladies had been going, it was a wonderful throw for them. It was high, it was floaty, plenty of time for the receiver to catch up to it and then grab it. And that's what we saw. It was high and floaty. And there was a male that was, I don't know, 10, 15 meters behind, probably 10, who saw it, saw no one was going, and put on the boost to get the disc. But the throw, unfortunately thrown when all the ladies were in the blind spot. Great wave, or at least the attempt to start it from the crowd. I think we have some Dominican Republic players, if I'm not mistaken, in the crowd. They've had a fairly good day as well. They have pressured Team Canada. And a 3-handler setup with 4 vertical stack. On the close side, we have Tom. In the middle, we have number 4 and Ryan. Far side, I think it's Kieran Hudson, but I can't see the number on his back from this angle. The stack. We've got poach coverage, and over the top, Scuba would do this, or hammer, and it's a flood stack, creating space up. It's going to be reset, and a huge D. Crowd explodes on that side, right in front of the GB section. Disc goes deep. There's space. There's time. And it's pulled down by number, well, we'll worry about the number later. Oh, clutch D. And there's a call. Is there a pick call, or he might have been hit? I think that was Eddie Vanderkloot down there. No call. His hand might have gotten hit after the play. Tommy with the D. Sorry, it was number 27, Stephen Dixon, who had the disc originally. bit of a crowd there. Got to clean up that cutting and those options. And once again, blind spot cutting. Open, flips into the end zone. And GB floods the field. That's an emotional point. A big emotional point from GB. Gonna try to get the numbers for that one. That point thrown by James Bald to number 4, Robert Coddington. This game now 13-8, I believe. So only 5 points separate these teams. And those are the 5 breaks, or 4 now perhaps, by Australia. Starting very early on with some unsure hands from GB. Those hands are now sure and true. And a big pull goes up. You can feel the electricity. Possible comeback story here. Big pressure. But Ben Sudas, and miscommunication in the back again. Sutas, I believe that was how Max Halden pronounced it. Dump to the middle, and then looking for a cut-up line from Tatiana. Back to Steven Dixon. Looking for the middle of field. That's Tatiana again. There's a real energy now. Everyone's trying it, overthrown. And bobbled a little bit. Had a shot, but Max knocks it down. Center to Kieran. Bid. And a huck goes up. And a lot of space here. And taken by Sutas.
Touch the fucking disc, come on!
Throw from Yi Tan, Yi Xuan Tan to Ben Sutas. Now, if you haven't seen it, you can go and search on YouTube for Blue Bottles Australia Mixed. And there's a playlist that Max Halden put together, the ginger on the team put together with probably interesting pronunciations. Now, if you've seen these pronunciations before on the web, there is a channel that does strange and just slaughters a pronunciation, doesn't really even try. You did the same thing for all the players. GB and a few other folks, I don't know if you can hear them, are starting the cheer for. We're on the south side and north side of the pitch, or right side. Huck goes up from number 4, and fortunately little lady Robert Coddington probably had better intentions for that, and it was a little bit of a blind catch for the receiver. Now when I say that, it typically means the disc is coming from behind, and we talk about diamond cuts. Diamond cuts are very important. They create space and angle. Temas moves it forward. Now to Timokles Copeland. And an off-balance throw and a bit in the air, but a turnover from Jack Allen, throwing it forward. And there had to be an adjustment down the field for that pass. So diamond cut's very important. It's simply an angled cut, and the diamond part refers to the start, which sets you up. Reset to the middle and a drop in the midfield, but a reset from Stephen Dixon, looking to put it deep here. Christine McBride puts it high. And a good D there by number 27, Stephen Dixon. And it looks like we're going to have another deep shot possible here. And an ambitious layout. Stephen Dixon again, integral to this play. Throws a big one up. And caught, I believe, by number 11. 27-4, number 27, Stephen Dixon, number 4, Robert Coddington. And Coddy catches it in the end zone after starting at the other end with a throwaway. And after a few more turnovers, we have a point. And the score on your screen, and soon updated for me, I believe it's 14-9. So that 5-point differential has not gone away. Sun there at the top of your screen. We're just going to try adjusting a little bit to try and prevent that. Not really much we can do at this point, so hope you're not blinded too much. But crowd and players for U23 WFDF World Championships getting very excited and showing great energy, which is good to see. Big pull. It's going to be going fairly deep into the end zone, but reset easily and quickly. And we've got a runner free, but he's covered because there's a zone defense here from Great Britain. And he's cycling well. Excellent cycling downfield from the mids. He's going to need to pop it over the top. And a lot of screaming at Vivian. You need to get into a better position. From the sideline, players coaching, coaches coaching. Hammer over the top. Oh, and bobbled, and she's not taking it in the end zone. Resets, and then popped right back.
17-23.
And that point from Max Halden to Vivian Yun in the end zone. And Australia 15-9, leading. 2 points from capping this game. Still 25 minutes at least left in this game. Both teams having a reasonably easy time scoring in the downwind direction now. That confidence has built back up. And this is an important time. You have definitely players here on both of these teams that are playing at the very highest of levels. They play in the full uncapped age divisions. But you have many that started only a few years ago that are natural athletes or gifted with the disc, and even those normal folks like us who just started later in life and found that we were pretty good. And pole. Sun right in our eyes at this time. That's a nice pull from Tom McCallum, and we've seen this D-line produce before. And a collision in the midfield, and both of these players were just simply going in different directions. And we're hoping Tom's okay. He seems to be sitting up. Seems to be his arm. He did brace GB player, brick house, not an issue. And he's staying on the field. And he's saying take him off. Coach is pulling him off. I think that's Stefan that took him off. And JD as well at the bottom of your screen there, walking off in the white hat. JD, coach for this team, started playing Ultimate before any of these players were born. Isabel looking to reset, does. So Ryan puts it in the end zone. Oh, just out of the reach. I think it was Mel. And she's very frustrated. She felt like she could have had it. It was very close. Layout would have been close as well. Split stack from GB. Tripping a little bit on the line. And tearing it. And sideline, or sorry, the end zone line, gone. They're going to stop. They're going to say, let's fix it. And Jack Lowell is going to be taking this up. I believe we were supposed to have 3 pins for this rather than just the 2. At least that's the discussion we had last night, or even the 1. These Portafields lines helping out significantly. And a D, a throwaway, no real options. We're seeing options, or good coverage downfield. I think that's what we're seeing from Australia, is that they've really been able to play man well. Huck goes up, she's got time, she's got to run. And she just paused, misjudged the disc. And that's tough. I think that's Grace Burton. Right when the throw went up, she adjusted a little bit, but it was a lot deeper, perhaps a little bit of inexperience. Just going to adjust to this stack up until the play gets stuck. Now they're into a zone. GB has gone into a zone, the one that's worked for them. But Australia moving well against this. Options everywhere. And a call.
Keep that space, keep that space.
Oh, God, lots of room. Lots of room to run. Pops it over. Pressure. Yes, not in my house. And play goes the other way, looking to huck it, but very good coverage. To the side, number 25, James Bald. Now number 6, I think that's, yes, Grace Burton. And then to number 31, where it's a turnover, Jody Martin. Australia back with the disc, calls a timeout. Timeout taken by number 4, Ryan Garay. Gary? I'm not sure. It's interesting. Garrahy. Garahi. I think that's probably it. Regardless, he calls a timeout. Blue Bottles have been very close on this point. If it hasn't been for the defensive efforts, a few key GB players, they would have scored already. Score right now, 15-9. We're just taking a bit of a stretch here. Stretching out. It's important to stay active. We've been on our feet basically the whole day. Climbing up and down, getting a lot of exercise. I think that is important. If you take a quick look around here, we have not only the fans, the players that have been watching, but over here on the north end,
we have the beer garden and 4 police outside to keep these rowdy under 23 players under control. Steam Whistle, I believe the sponsor for that tent. And this being an under 23 tournament. And the drinking age being 19 in Canada. This is not a U19 tournament where alcohol is not allowed at all, I believe, by WFDF standards. Okay, disc coming in now from Ryan. Happy birthday from the crowd. So Dominican Republic, I believe, but a foul called now on the disc, back to the actual ultimate. Good break. Thomas Yeo centers it, and unfortunately just out of reach. Hard D call for Gary. And they're setting up with a vertical stack. And a bid on the disc. Number 50, now to number 6, I believe. Or actually, can't really tell. Pull down in the end zone. We're just gonna get the numbers here. And that was number 11, Lawrence Hill, to James Balge. James being mentioned quite a bit in this game. And once again, Australia can't get away. We're still 15-10 now. And they've had their shots to get another break. But GBD showing up on the O-line. I think the last few points, in fact, probably the last 7 or 8 to 10 points, we haven't seen any real difference between these two teams. And that's the sort of game we expected at the beginning, is just to go out hard from both sides, and they're both scoring downwind now, and we're getting the game that we have wanted. And this is indicative of what we can expect in the rest of the tournament from GB and Australia. Centered. Good pressure on this side, and she just missteps slightly. The throw there from Yushuan Tan. And injury being taken by number 24, Emilia Yap. And substituting on is Christine McBride. I think that's how you pronounce it. Christine McBride. Now she does have the disc in her possession, as you can see over the top. Max centers it again, and he's one of the old timers on this team. Scuba available over the top. And a mismatch taken. He wanted to throw it over the top because we have an isolated player in the end zone. I think it's Vivian. A hammer over the top. Always a favorite with the crowd. And a clutch goal line D. Picks it up right away. Might have wanted to settle down. Now looking to huck it deep. Battle Bruiser lets it go, and it's now being put in the end zone. Lots of time.
Big air battle. And pulled down by, I believe, number 29. It's actually number 36, Howard Story to Helen Wanstall. And that's a big point. That's a break. GB go upfield and into the wind, and a good air battle there at the end. And the score now 15-11. Kim Baxter, timekeeper and getting the names and or numbers for the players for us. About 15 minutes or less left in this game. Big pull. If you're missing the sideline down there, it was torn up during one of the points.
Put it down, GB!
And Craig Stephen almost getting hit there, trying to get out of the way instead of moving directly back, tried to move to the side. Craig, a long time ultimate photographer, going to the disc. And a zone by GB. And good movement by Max and company here in the middle. And there's an opening. And well moved by Daniel Matthews-Hunter. And back into the middle for Victor Tan. And it's gone back and a turnover. And this is a little bit of jitters perhaps in the late game. They can play well against the zone, but then as soon as the defense adjusts to set up in a static position upfield, there are issues. Stadium lights now coming on. And GB on a roll. And there's a pick called. Well, and Jonathan Saunders had that disc. So that looks like it's Stephen Dixon has it. And there's our downfield positioning. Everyone is in one quarter of the field. And it's tight. Now they're going to clear. We've got an upline cut. But another pick called. Caught and turned, but it's going to go back. Is that Grace? It looks like it is Grace Burton. And Australia needs to turn up their D. The defense we saw earlier in the game, pressure just isn't there. And good movement. That was back by Rennie. And a pick again, and this vertical stack really slowing down the play.
Come on, Dan. Here we go. Here we go, Dan.
Pick called. He's got to catch it. You could almost see that one coming. That was Stephen Dixon coming on the in cut. Now on this, again, Eddie with the disc. Stephen Dixon. Oh, Blade. Oh, and a collective groan from myself and the crowd. Now, what's worked well for Australia has been the huck game. And a turn. Good movement back. Eddie with the disc, floats it, and Grace catches it in the end zone. And it's 15-12. This game tightening it up. Australia not playing their huck game like they were earlier. They don't have the same strikes going out, and they need to have that game. That game was working wonderfully for them. And now GB with 2 breaks in a row, tighten the game up to 3. And we have maybe 10 minutes left in this game, maybe. So I think we're going to be looking at these. And Jack just wandering out to let them know about the soft cap or time cap. If it was soft cap, it would be to 17. Yes, it is soft cap. Game to 17. Much like we would expect. Wonderful support from the GB cheering section.
23-6.
And just confirming, that was Eddie Vanderkloot to Grace Burton. Pull, floating a little bit. This game, anyone's at this time. And we've got a deep, player deep, but good coverage. We've got on this side, we've got, I'm sorry, I was looking at the Japanese roster, but wide open, we have Kieran Hudson, just with his hands up saying, throw it to me. And then through the middle, Yishuan, oh, and then just hammered and right into the ground. Looked like his finger just caught a little bit longer. Hard defense needed from Australia. Max Halden marking. Look at the disc, looking to swing it. Stephen Dixon gets it to the middle. There is a pick upfield. Kelly Martin with the disc. Disc back in, probably stall 4, 5, and pressure, but not enough. And we saw much better pressure earlier in this game. Looking for a dump, sent the hammer over the top, well taken. Peter Garnett centers it, picked up with an acrobatic catch by Howard Story. He's moving it, it's Rennie. Outside the end zone. Oh, and bowled over. Is everyone okay? Yes, everyone's okay. No call. And it was a cutter coming from down the field, cutting into a hander position. And they cut each other off. And all I got to say is thank goodness no one got hurt there. Australia once again with the disc. Against the zone. This, if you're going to do an over the top, it needs to be now. Kieran still wide open. And Max will put it over the top. Lots of time. And he just stands and waits rather than running it down a little bit. There was no pressure on the disc for Kieran. And the zone paying up, creating the opportunities that GB need, and they call a timeout with the score at 15-11. As you can see on the bottom of your screen, number 27, Dirty Steve, will be waiting for the reset. We've said that name quite a bit. Stephen Dixon, primary handler, one of the primary handlers for this Great Britain squad. And what a game we have on our hands. It started out slow, but the last little bit has been exciting. It's still 15-11. The time is a little bit tricky. I do apologize for that, or I am a bit sorry to see that, because given maybe another 20 minutes, what could GB do? If GB hadn't had those drops, those 3 drops at the beginning of the game, this would be 15-14 right now. 15-14, folks. Could not ask for a better showcase game. But Australia Fantastic offense and defense. Their Hucks had been working very well, but being shut down now by the GB zone. Thank you all for watching from home. It's very exciting to be here. It's very exciting to watch these games and get this fantastic perspective. And it's great to hear from everyone around the world, giving us insight into these teams, helping us understand what these young folks who are the next generation of high-level ultimate, of world's ultimate clubs and everything that you'll see for the next 8 to 20 years, because quite frankly, we still see 40-year-olds playing on open women's and mixed teams at the very top. I believe JD was playing last year on the Australian mixed team. Regardless, I know they appreciate your support. I certainly appreciate your support. Now, quick word, Ulti-Apps will be updating the schedule to be a bit more dynamic and live over the next few days. And a few other updates as well. Thank you for the feedback on that. Dirty Steve with a disc. Oh, and he puts it into the ground. Now we're a little bit stopped. Victor. Oh, sorry, Yishuan. And almost, Randy almost gets through underneath. Yishuan looking again, going up line, wide open. Kieran with his signature. Where? And into the end zone. Score actually is 15-12.
17 to 44.
I apologize for getting the score wrong. I'm being told it is in fact 16-12. Now, there's a scoreboard here. On one side of the scoreboard, there's one score. On the other side, it's 15-11. And I've been looking at the side that's facing me. And just waving my fist at one of the volunteers, but having a laugh. And Australia, 16-12 on game point now. And the score being removed altogether now for me. Thank you. Much appreciated. But what a great game that we are having here and a great finish to the day. We've seen some wonderful ultimate. We've seen some great matches. In fact, the last great match was involving Australia mixed, where they played Chinese Taipei. An upset there, but in this case, Australia looking to hold seed. Looking for a hook, but there's some great cross-field coverage. It's going to be centered back to the middle. And there's an opportunity for a hook to the end zone, but not there. Dirty Dixon in trouble. Oh, and sends a nice pass to the middle. Grace. You can tell who she is by her yellow shoes. Oh, that's a fantastic break. And GB have a very good offensive motion down the field, just working it up, starting with their split stack. Australia shut that down. It was stuck for a high stall count a little bit. And now the game is 16-13. But GB had a very good offensive stretch right there. And this game now on game point for Australia. Now to watch and of concern will be how Robert Reeves, number 19, is doing. He played that first point. Now he's got a bandaged ankle. Not bandaged, but wrapped up. And hopefully he's back, because he has been a big player for this team so far in the tournament. If not, at the very least, his beard is needed on the field.
Oh, that's a big pull, a lot of effort, and it's cross field, caught and taken. Excellent pull. Defense was right there. Looking for deep options again, the zone. And it's created so many turns. There's one player way downfield. And good movement with the ladies there. A lot of pressure though. And this should be the break that was needed. And Max operating in the middle. Just give and goes as well. And he's just looking to flip it in, and that's the game. And once Australia got through that zone, there was nothing stopping Max and the ladies, and they just worked it up the field. Very precise, great game from both sides. GB coming up at the end. The score 17 to 13. 17 to 13. Thank you from the scorekeepers. Thank you for watching at home. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow morning. I think we have the 9 a.m. game here. We're not sure which one it is. We will create a Facebook invite as soon as we find out, which should be tonight. I'm going to be chatting with Ian later on, probably in about an hour, hour and a half, to figure out our schedule for the rest of the tournament, and then a whole bunch of Facebook event invites will go out. We're working on the internet. You can find the premium games, so to speak, from Next Gen. They will be doing 2 to 3 games a day involving only the open and women's teams. They will be doing all 3 finals as well, I believe. So finally we'll get a rest day. Thursday will be our busiest day. 6 games, I believe, on this field, if not just maybe 5. But we'll be doing every game that will be on this showcase field at that time on the free stream. Anyhow, thank you for joining me. Thank you from Rose as well. And thank you to all the volunteers at this tournament, but most importantly to the viewers, because without you, I'd just be talking to myself. And not that I mind that, but the feedback and the support from you is quite nice to have at this point. Anyway, signing off for the night here from sunny Toronto, Ontario, York University. I am Ultimate.